It's like having a blessing that you don't know you've been given. There are support systems that are within Martin that may not exist in another space. Martin University is in the business of creating success stories. Success stories like me.
Welcome to Let's Talk Live with Martin U, the live podcast bringing much needed conversations to the table. Let's Talk Live with Martin U is an exciting, reverent, and educational podcast that digs deep into current topics, community involvement, and stories of our alumni successes that only Martin University can deliver. I am Tia King, and joining me today is alumna and owner of Three Sisters Garden, Miss Cheri Hood. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
How are you on this beautiful Friday morning?
Doing good, doing great today. Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about your background and what you do professionally.
My background, I started out wanting to go to law school. So I majored in criminal justice, got a BS in criminal justice. Then I switched over to Martin to finish my accounting degree. I came to Martin because I heard that there was this fabulous professor there, and he had this excellent. Well, I only went there for one class, but I ended up getting a degree there. I
Nice,
enjoyed the
nice, nice.
experience. So I really enjoyed the experience.
And
So
who
now
was this
I'm in.
professor?
Oh, I knew you would ask me that. Oh, he taught, and it's like I see his face, but I can't think of his name. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. I will come up with it before the end of the show. Ronald, that's all I can think of right now.
He was the phenomenal professor.
Phenomenal, yes. I want to say Clark, Mr. Clark. Yes. He
Nice.
taught us words and how these words benefit us each and every day of our lives, and digging into it, and taught us we had to develop this black book. And I still have mine today, and every now and then I open it, and we had different categories in this black book that just taught you about different things in our race, and it's like an encyclopedia of blackness.
Nice. Do
Yeah.
you feel like attending Martin University definitely helped diversify your outlook on like your work experience?
My outlook on a lot of things in life, because basically a lot of people figure going to a black university that's considered a black university, you won't get a good education, but I had phenomenal professors. They were great, and we had to learn. We had to buckle down. There was no passes at all, and I just learned a lot. And the classes were smaller, and we just were able to get more out of everything and bond with the classes and your classmates. You knew people's name, you know, it was good. You know, your people in the office, you get to know everyone just about on campus.
So you graduated in 2000, and I know that has been, sorry to break it, 22 years. Have you seen like a progression and a difference within the university since you've graduated?
I'm not really sure. I'm sure it has progressed. I attend sometimes functions there, but I'm not really up to date with the going ons of everything.
Understandable, understandable. With your business, you are the owner of a brand and an organization, and I wanted to hear a little bit about it. What is it? How was it founded? And what do you do?
Well, Three Sisters Garden is a homestead here on the far east side of Indianapolis. I got started basically out of just wanting to feed my family, my friends, and neighbors, just grow food in my backyard. So that's why we call it a homestead. So I went out looking for other farmers, and I ran across a few. I just wanted to develop my backyard into a garden oasis. Well, in
Hmm.
the process, I end up working other projects within the community. And right before the pandemic, I didn't know it, but I started without intention, developing my own homestead after all these years. And along the way, I met a lot of people. We got together and we came up with the Good Food Connections of the Far East Side. And that was out of a need that we needed good food over here. And we had people from the mayor's office, the health department. Um, it was just an oasis of knowledge. And we got together and we come up with ways and to interact with the community and so forth. And we had about 4 or 5 farmers in this group. But along the way, everyone's projects took on different turns. So we're still on Facebook. Those old pictures and everything are still there. You can always tune in and check those out. And I end up becoming associated with Lawrence Community Garden. And I farmed there for a couple of years as 3 sisters on a half an acre of their land. And during the process, we decided to organize Indiana Black Farmers Co-op. So this co-op, when we just started out of a need to grow food, and our mission was to monocrop. Each farmer would have one crop that was going to be their specialty project product. And so that when we went to market, everyone wouldn't have exactly the same thing. And we also were going to have set prices so that we wouldn't outbid or underbid each other. So we go to market, the farmers were free, and our products was all set at the same price. We would agree upon that. So all of a sudden, this ideal that we come together sitting on Lawrence Community Garden property in a trailer um, just took off. And before we knew it, we had 4 markets. And all the
Mm,
markets was within the Black American neighborhood. We have one at St. Andrews, a church on 38th and Forest Manor. We had one at 46th in Arlington. We had Cafe. We also marketed at Flanner House. And I think we did another location right now. So yeah, it just everything just boomed. And we're sitting there, then we like, oh, we need food. We gotta hurry up and get food in the ground. Because everything just I was not in this for money or anything. I was just in this to share food. Even though I was over there on a half acre, struggling, trying to clear the land to grow food, I was not trying to make money. I just wanted to grow food. And we had these 4 markets going. Within our markets, our vendors had to be people that made their own products. We didn't want anything that was already processed or produced by someone else. We had a lot of vendors, and they come together because it's hard for people to sell their products. So the
mm-hmm.
co-op bought the insurance so the vendors wouldn't have to, and they could just come and vend and sell their products. And that worked out great, and that was good for everyone. Um, we went ahead and the pandemic hit, of course. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, we still exist in theory. If you inbox
Mm-hmm.
us, we go out and we do a lot of community projects, but we never got back together to do farmers markets. So we will come
Mm-hmm.
out. If you need help with developing your own garden in your yard, one of us will come out and try to assist you in that project because we believe that everyone should have some sort of garden. If you live in an apartment, put a pot on your patio, put a tomato plant, pepper plant, or something in there. Just try to grow something. You could even throw some green beans in there and you can pick your green beans and have you some green beans every 2 weeks or whatever, or 3 weeks, depending how many pots you plant. So that was part of our belief, and it's a very good, it was a very good project. Still believe in it today.
What would you say to somebody that's interested in starting a garden, like you mentioned, even if it's on the patio? What should you tell them as far as patience?
Oh, patience. Sometimes things just don't work out. The weather, could be a contributing factor that is going to go against you. So you have to have patience, and sometimes you have to restart your project over. So allow yourself time to restart, especially if you're growing just from seeds. Start over, and don't beat yourself up, and talk to other people, because other sometimes you think, oh, this is happening to me, I'm struggling. But once you reach out, you realize it's not just happening to you, it's happening to other farmers and people who are trying to grow. Like maybe one year everybody's tomato plants were doing terribly, and it wasn't just you. And this was one of those seasons, no tomatoes. I was just thinking yesterday, didn't
Mm,
have very many tomatoes at all. And I don't buy store-bought tomatoes. I have to be very
mm.
desperate for some sort of recipe to buy a store-bought tomato. During the winter time, it's like, no, I'm just not doing it. It doesn't have any taste. I'll try to buy an organic hybrid sometimes, or and some of them turn out okay, but I do not buy store-bought tomatoes in the wintertime. I'm waiting till the summer, and I'm trying to fill up on them and savor that moment during the wintertime.
How
So,
do farmers and Black farmers like yourself like harvest in the winter time and the fall time? What are you growing, or is it just no more growing anything?
well, due to technology, a lot of farmers have what they call hoop houses. You see these structures, and they're covered in plastic. So that allows you to grow probably some lot of leafy vegetables so far into the winter, and depend on your amount of sun and everything, that you could probably do that throughout the winter, and probably grow some root products too. Your onions, your carrots, maybe potatoes. So it's kind of hard, especially in Indiana, but it's not totally impossible. It can be done. Yes.
Hmm. And what do you grow in the winter?
You know what? In the winter, sometimes I just leave some of my collards and my kale in the ground, and it reproduces, and I have chickens. So that's part of what they eat during the winter time. They love greens. They love the collards, the kales, and so forth. But I really don't do it for myself, although I could. And sometimes I do. I went out last year and got a batch of greens, and my sister was in town and she fixed them for us, So that kind of thing. And it's good. It is good for the chickens because there's not very much green during that time of year. So I'm told they're bougie, but
Yeah.
yes.
What would you say is a common misconception that people have for farmers?
Okay, they think that, especially urban farmers, they think that this job is so easy. If you're doing a farmer's market, they want to barter you down on your price, and our price is already low because we're bringing you a healthy product with no pesticides or herbicides. So we're calling it organic. It's organic practices going forward. And they want to bargain you down. And I was told once, well, I pay this amount for my eggs and I get 18 for what you want to charge me 12 for. And my response was, well, how far did those eggs you purchased at the store traveled? How long were they sitting in a warehouse or at the back of a
Mm-hmm.
store before you got them? You came, what, 2 miles, got these eggs, and they're fresh. They 2, 3 days old, maybe, and you have fresh eggs. So I feel that you can't bargain that away. You're getting a good product. You don't know how far everything else has come. So that's one of the things that is really hard in this business because
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
it's hard growing food. It's hard getting your family to support you sometimes. They'll buy some of your food, but they won't come out and help clear any land or pick any weeds or anything for you, not even plant any seeds sometimes. So it's a hard process.
Yes, I can only imagine. You mentioned you have chickens. How many chickens do you have, and how often do they leave some eggs for you? to sell or keep?
Well, sometimes it just depends on the time of year. They really struggled during the heat this summer. So I have 9 hens and one rooster. And normally they will lay maybe four between them, maybe 4 or 5 eggs or 6 eggs a day. Lately, it's only been a couple, and I don't. They're going through their season where they're getting their winter feathers, so they're not going to lay as many eggs until they get their full coat back. So all their energy and everything is going to that process. But
With
most of the time
your
in the winter time, I can get more eggs than I do probably in the summertime.
hmm. Now with the
Interesting.
eggs that you do like have and you crack or sell or whatever, which ones do you keep so they can like be fully formed and born and kind of like the reproduction cycle?
Well, that just depends on the hens. They have the
Mm.
process of going what we call broody, and that's during their little cycle. So during their cycle, they'll go in and they'll tuck eggs under them. Basically, I have to mark my eggs and say, okay, this is the date you took this one up under you, and I mark the dates. Or I end up removing the hen and putting her somewhere else with her eggs. So every day she'll be stealing all the eggs, trying to put them under her. And she'll sit on those eggs for 21 days. And after that, they'll start hatching. You can mark it from the first day you put a date down on that egg. 21 days later, your first chicken is going to be hatched.
Wow, that's a big turnaround time.
Yes, it
It's
is.
like a
But
like it's like a quick turnaround time.
they don't go broody, but maybe once. Some hens might go broody twice a year. So it's not like they're going to do it um, every month. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
And
Just
that
once.
explains why you have so many, so you can have it in a rotation.
Yes, but all the time, all the eggs aren't viable either. So, yes, and then you got to grow, they have to grow up and you got to keep them safe from the predators around here. And then sometimes if you have roosters, you don't want more than one rooster in the hen house. So you
Mm.
have to give the roosters away or we can process them.
This is really informational for people that have no idea what farming looks like or what it takes, and even if it's just in your backyard. Because where is your farm located?
So right now, my homestead is here at my home, like I said, on the far east side of here in Indianapolis and Lawrence. And I also farm in Lebanon, Indiana. We farm on St. Peter's Episcopal Church. We have a half an acre that's allotted to four of us farmers here from Indianapolis. I have a third of acre there. A third don't sound like much, does it? But a third is a lot of property. And it's like, if you measured it out, say 25 rows, 50 feet long each row. So
And that's all
if,
you.
and that's all me. Yes. And that's a lot of rows. So during the winter process, people think that, well, farmers don't do nothing during the winter. They just lay around and just eat and get fat. No. I'm sitting up here trying to plan what I'm going to put on those 25 rows for next spring. I have to rotate those products. So the first 3 rows I had beets, but I can't put beets there again this next season. I have to put something different because we don't want to deplete the soil, the nutrients in the soil. We have to add things that's going to help replenish the soil and keep it healthy. And that's part of what organic farming is. We're going to rotate the crops around. And I just learned something in the last couple of weeks that George Washington Carver came up with crop rotation. I didn't know that. To one of my grandchildren was doing a story on him. Yeah, and I found out that he went to tell the farmers to plant peanuts the next season instead of cotton because the cotton, just like corn, takes so many nutrients out of the soil
Mm-hmm.
that it wouldn't grow good in the next years. And he went around and that's what he did. he had a traveling bandwagon or whatever to tell people how to crop rotate. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. All we think of him is that he took all these products from peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, and I'm like, that was fascinating to know for me. But
Still learning, and you've been in a game for how many years?
still learning. You always learn. But in this business, we share knowledge. I believe in sharing knowledge, um, because the more you pour out into other people, then you got room to take stuff in. So you share knowledge to build other people up. Why would you hold stuff back? A fear of that someone else will be more intelligent than you? No.
Mm,
Share your knowledge. Let people grow. Also, be happy, that you can see someone else take your little nugget and make it work for them or their family. Because right now, when we look around us, meat has tripled in price. Everything else, vegetables and fruits, are tripled and doubled. What do? We need to be able to grow a few things to help supplement our food bill so
mm-hmm.
that we can survive. Maybe we can spend that extra on the gas bill, or, you know, let's go get some cookies or make some cookies or something that will bring you some joy, a pleasure during all these times when so much bad is happening. So even getting out in the garden, um, and working brings me peace. I can relax, especially in Lebanon because it's so quiet, except for maybe the goats across the road when they're over there making noise or whatever. Um, but I find a lot of peace in when I'm out there and I'm just working in the land, and it's just good for the soul.
I like that. Makes me want to get in the garden, but nails, you know.
Oh, made my nails grow one year. The dirt was so rich, and I always take my gloves off, and I'm like, I have gloves. My nails grew because the soil was so rich and everything. And I think it grew my nails. They were the strongest they ever were.
I
But we
heard
have
that.
gloves. We have gloves for you if you ever want to come out, Miss King.
Okay, big question here. What is a goal of yours going into a new season where you're harvesting? What would you like to see as an outcome?
Well, since the pandemic, I haven't done many markets. I sell my food to CSAs, Community Supported Agriculture. I help support other people's CSAs. I probably would start my own CSA, and that's where you pay for, let's say, a box of food once or twice a month, and you get in that box so much product, whatever's growing during that time of the season. So either I would continue just to support other people's CSAs and start my own, uh, probably start join more markets next year. Um, I like the community-based markets. This year I worked out of North Church Market near 38th and Emerson, I mean 38th and Meridian, and that was a real
Mm,
nice experience to see people come out. And one thing about the markets which people don't understand is, like, if you have EBT or SNAP, whichever one you go by, the name you go by, when you come to our markets, they're there. And if you purchase, let's say, $20 in the SNAP or EBT, there's government subsidies that will support you and give you another $20 free to spend at that market. And a lot of
mm-hmm.
people don't know that. So you can come out in the spring, like when we're selling our starter plants. Like I might grow extra tomatoes and I'll sell my tomato plants or my green beans or whatever it is that I've started. You can also purchase those. You can purchase the eggs, the honeys that different farmers have, and yes, use those funds for those products. Many people don't know this, and they stay away from farmers markets because they think that everything is expensive, and everything is just a little bit higher sometimes. But you have to think of it, the hard work that goes into all these products. I don't even sell, I still keep my stuff at the same price as when the Indiana Black Farmers started out. My, all my products are still the same price, and that's been almost 10 years. I haven't, yes, I haven't raised it because of inflation or anything, because I'm doing it for the community, for my community, for the love of giving somebody some food that does not have pesticides, it's not is a carcinogen, a cancer producing agent that's going to help bring your blood pressure down, help control your diabetes. And that's why I
Hmm.
do it, because I love my community. I just want them to be healthy and to live a healthier lifestyle.
I like that. I like that narrative a lot. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the viewers, with me, with Martin University? Because we definitely have to get you in here to figure out how we can start a garden. So I hope you know that we are on that because we do not have a garden with vegetables and things of that nature. But what else? What else would you like to share?
I would like, I do have a Facebook page. You can always inbox me if you want eggs or to see what I have that's available that you would like. Or, and sometimes when I don't have something, I'll reach out to some of my other farmers who share the same growing processes and see what they have to try to fulfill your needs. Um,
Hmm.
like I said, we can come out and help you with your garden. But in the coming season, there are winter farmers markets that you can find, and just support locally. Support your local people. The food doesn't go far; it's only going a few miles, and you support them, and so it's healthier because the longer food stays on the shelves, the more nutrients it loses day by day.
Mm.
So the sooner you can get it from the farm to your table, the better off it is and more healthier for you. And it tastes so good. Tastes so good. One more nugget. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What what made me get involved in this years ago? I never ate broccoli growing up. We just didn't have it. We
Hmm.
didn't. My mother didn't prepare it. So I'm sitting there with my mother-in-law. I would go to her and watch her, help her in her garden, and I tasted broccoli for the first time, and it was so sweet. I mean, I remember that taste
Really?
today, and it was so sweet, and it made me want to start growing stuff. I mean, something tastes that good. Oh yes, I want some of that. So the broccoli was good, and now like there's things in my yard, and my grandkids know what they can eat, and they snack in the yard. They snack. They snack the Swiss chard, the bok choy, green beans, tomatoes. They go up and snack everything. And I watch them sometime out the window. Sometimes I put these little kid-proof pruning shears out there so that they can pick the green beans and everything properly. And I'll see them run and grab the shears and just cut their stuff down and snack. And sometimes I have to tell one, don't, you can't eat it all. We gotta sell some. Don't eat everything up. But they enjoy it and they want to know what they can eat, and they know the flowers that are edible that they can eat. So we planted some flowers late and they're blooming right now, which is strange. And they're edible. And I'm like, when you go to a fancy, I'll say fancy restaurant for them because they're young, these flowers are placed in salads and they're good
Hmm.
and they eat. So now, as soon as a flower petal blooms, they're walking by. They're like, we got one, okay. And so they're pulling them off. So this has been in the last week or two because the
Hmm.
weather has fluctuated a lot. So they're like, we got one, and then so I seen one the other day and I got it before they did.
Uh,
So I was able to snack, and they didn't know. They didn't see that one. But I told them that the leaves are edible and so are the flower petals. And they like this. They really do. They enjoy it. So I'm passing on the knowledge to them and trying
you
to
are.
teach them so that they'll know how to support themselves if they have to. And that's what we have to
This
do
is
each
true.
time. Each one teach one. You don't have to do it, but if you need to do this, or if you find that you have a love to do it, then you'll be able to. You'll have that foundation, and then pass it on to someone else and help them. And that's what it's
That's
all about.
about.
Yes.
Look at us. It's almost like you my auntie or something.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Well, thank you so much for joining me today on Let's Talk Live with Martin Yu. Again, this is Miss Cheri Hood. She is the owner of Three Sisters Garden and a proud alum of Martin University. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise and spreading the knowledge of Black farmers locally within the city of Indianapolis. I am your guest host, Aunt Tia King, and I will see you the same place, same time, right here next week on Let's Talk Live with Martin Yu. Bye.
Bye.
It's like having a blessing that you don't know you've been given. There are support systems that are within Martin that may not exist in another space. Martin University is in the business of creating success stories. Success stories like me.